AAA games are getting more and more expensive these days. The more technology advances, the more complex the games can become. Adding incredibly detailed features like realistic animations, gunplay, and explosions to photorealistic horse poop. With all of this complexity comes the added cost of development. New investments in the latest tech comes at a huge cost, and paying all those developer salaries over the years it takes to put these things together is expensive. Coupled with Rockstar's obsessive attention to detail and a passionate need to push the envelope even further with each new game they crank out, it looks like GTA 6 is set to be the most expensive game ever made. Currently, the most expensive game ever developed is Cyberpunk 2077. It had a development cost of $174 million. Other games such as EA's Star Wars: The Old Republic have a development budget around $200 million. But the MMO game is still currently undergoing updates. Even a decade on, the game continues as a live service and is a definite return on its investment. One other game that is hardly worth mentioning as it continues its pre-Starfield release meltdown is Star Citizen. Somehow, after crowdfunding over $500 million, it remains in a pre-alpha and can hardly be considered a game at all. Before any lunatic Star Citizen whales blow up in the comments, this writer has indeed played Scam Citizen and was not impressed at all, $500 million in funding and over a decade to make a barely functional tech demo makes it hardly worthy of being called a game. But hey, if anything, it shows just how valuable the industry is and how gullible some whales can be. Though, it basically amounts to the Scientology of video games, complete with slavish backers too ashamed to admit they've been conned. It does say a lot about gaming and gamers themselves that CIG were able to crowdfund this much money. Yet, they still can't produce a game which makes them less than relevant when compared with AAA studios. More of the top 10 most expensive games include GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, Max Payne 3, Destiny, Battlefield 4, Defiance, and Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, all of which cost between $80 million to roughly $170 million to make. Rockstar is set to break the record. Currently, it looks like Rockstar is set to pass all of those games and leave them in the dust with their latest GTA. GTA 6 is rumored to have a development budget of $1 to $2 billion. This would make it the most expensive game of all time if rumors are to be believed. Take-Two Interactive, Rockstar's parent company, aren't exactly being open about the budget for this next GTA. But if their last games are something to go on, you know that they'll have set themselves a very ambitious one. While it's certainly no surprise that games are taking longer to make and costing more money to do so, this would usher in an incredible jump in the price tag that comes with development. A lot of games out there haven't broken the bank beyond a few $100 million. This would be an almost tenfold increase in development costs alone. Clearly, Rockstar are betting on it being a huge success if they're investing this much in one GTA game. Why the hell are games getting so expensive? AAA studios these days are in constant competition with one another, as well as other indie developers, trying their best to grab the attention of gamers all over the world and keep them playing their games. Rockstar alluded to the longevity of GTA 5 as being a cash cow that could be milked by using its online game mode as an ongoing live service. It's pretty much guaranteed that they intend to do the same with GTA 6, if they're willing to spend this much money just to make it. As the power of computing all over the world grows and grows, the limits of technology are being pushed further and further. The games industry is no different, and developers will be doing their best to push the envelope to make their games truly unique. Some may content themselves with a yearly release, but Rockstar is clearly not one of them. Red Dead 2 took over 8 years to perfect. And who are Rockstar if not perfectionists? Of course, this perfection takes time, and time is money. High-end developers and engineers can summon a king's ransom for their skills, and those salaries will mount up while games are in development. The bigger the scope of the project, the more highly skilled staff will be required. None of this is mentioning the costs of the latest and greatest tech that Rockstar will be wanting to implement in their latest game. Advances in console and PC tech mean bigger and better games. Incredible graphic detail and frame rates beyond what the human eye can fathom are only possible with more advanced, more expensive tech. While Rockstar got a lot of stick when the leaked material hit the internet back in September 2022, due to the very basic look of the game, it's worth mentioning that we were seeing what was the development environment of a game being made. It didn't look good graphically because it isn't meant to look good. It's the cake batter before it's baked, hardly appetizing at all. None of that should take away from the scale of the project that Rockstar is trying to put together. At $1 billion or $2 price tag, one has to assume that they are really trying to pull off an incredible feat, pushing the boundaries of what can be achieved within the scope and scale of gaming. To round it all off, just like any other company on the planet, Rockstar will have overhead costs that need paying. The ever-turning wheel of capitalism never ceases and affects us all, including games developers. The game industry itself is expected to reach a cumulative value of $256 billion by 2025. It is growing, and it doesn't look likely to slow down anytime soon. That growth means more money for developers to play with, and is very likely the reason why Take-Two Interactive can afford to sink $1 to $2 billion into a single game, making this an experiment in what a billion-dollar game actually looks like. That, or just massive hubris if it fails to live up to the hype. Should we be worried? In a sense, yes. The more games cost to develop, the more that developers can justify jacking up retail prices of their games. Gaming itself is already quite the expensive hobby, and with AAA studios constantly trying to outdo each other, it's likely to push up the prices of these games. However, all is not lost. There are countless tales in recent history where gaming studios have been caught short, not respecting the time and money of their audiences. Whether it's EA with ridiculous loot box schemes that Europe deemed to be illegal, CD Projekt Red pushing out an unfinished mess of a game just to please shareholders of Star Citizen, milking money from gullible whales and watching as more and more of them sell their accounts for peanuts as Starfield's release approaches. The gaming industry's target audience is quite reactive to being taken for a ride, and the results seem to swing the devs back in favor of making art rather than making money, at least most of the time. Even if more AAA games triple in price as big-name developers sink more cash and resources into making their games the biggest and best, you, dear watcher, are not expected to have to play them all. Alongside the AAA gaming industry is a plethora of indie developers, keen people who just want to make the game that they've always wanted to play. Some of the biggest and best games out there that continue to draw in players old and new cost as little as $10 to $20. As stated before, the gaming industry continues to grow, not just upwards but outwards as well. There has never been a better time to be a gamer. The choices are endless, and there is a niche for everyone. For fans of Rockstar Games and the GTA franchise, it can only mean one thing. We are going to get to play the most expensive game ever developed, and it's definitely going to be something special. All that money and human effort is bound to churn out something incredible. All that money and human effort is bound to churn out something incredible. The leaked material alone shows us a little bit of what we have in store. The time and money spent should hopefully make it all worth the wait. Years from now, when we're all still playing GTA 6 online, and people are making memes about GTA 7 never coming out for another decade, we'll all forget the times we spent speculating, the efforts that went into making it, the money spent, and quite possibly the ridiculous amounts of money that is likely to make on its release. Still, we'll have had a rich experience playing it regardless. Games exist as an art form, albeit a very interactive art form, but art nonetheless. Who knows what we'll see in the future as the industry continues to grow, attracting more investment and talent. Surely it can only mean good things. Surely we will all find out sometime in 2024, 2025-ish. Would you like to know more about GTA, or simply appease the god of the machine algorithm? You can do both by doing the YouTube stuff or by clicking on one of the recommended videos on screen, and we'll see you in the next one.